Good morning, Southeast Iowa, and good morning, morning breathers. Tim's really big on nicknames. Tim's not here today, so we're kind of taking over the show today. See how this goes. I don't know if morning breathers is going to stick though.
Morning breathers?
I don't know if as our following morning breathers, can we get away with that? Or
I think we can get away with that.
I'm not sure if we can, but listen, I just threw it out there. We'll see what happens.
I like it.
Well, we'll see. So, good morning, morning breathers in Southeast Iowa. I am Matt Bryant. I'm hosting today. Tim is out, but I am joined in the studio today by Mike Heaton. Made the long trip from Mount Pleasant. Welcome.
It's good to be back. Now that Tim's not here, I figured I could come in here and be like a little more Mount Pleasant heavy, a little less Washington. You won't
get quite the feedback this time.
Yeah, exactly.
We're also joined, as always, by super producer Alex.
Good to be here.
Because without Alex, the buttons don't get pushed and we don't move. Nothing happens. It just does. It's a standstill.
We just sit here silently or talk to each other.
Exactly.
And no one ever hears the conversation.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, it'd be a good conversation. It would just be lonely.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and Alex wouldn't be here, so it wouldn't matter, right?
Yeah.
We are powered, as always, and sponsored by KCTC.
Thank you,
Casey. And we are caffeinated this morning by our friends at Hy-Vee.
Thank you, Hy-Vee.
Caribou coffee going on.
Hey, speaking of which, Matt, I know you've talked about this. I would love to do a show from Hy-Vee.
You know what? I think we can do that.
Yeah?
We are lined up for next Wednesday to be live, a first live show, and Alex knows this, but he hasn't really done all the legwork to see how it's going to fly yet. But we're going to be live from Hy-Vee in Mount Pleasant next Wednesday. Willie Amos is the director of the Mount Pleasant store and actually oversees Washington and Fairfield as well.
Willie's awesome.
I've asked him to join, but he has meetings that day, so he cannot be there.
Bummer. That's too bad.
But he wants to be on the show sometime, so we'll get Willie on the show at some point.
That's awesome.
But we will be live from Mount Pleasant next Wednesday at Hy-Vee.
Can we ever do a show from Fairfield?
We can.
I'd like our Hy-Vees in Mount Pleasant and Washington, don't get me wrong. But that Hy-Vee in Fairfield, that's a whole nother level of Hy-Vee.
It's a pretty nice store.
Yeah, it's like luxury Hy-Vee.
Yes, so that will be on our not so distant bucket list.
Perfect.
To get that done. So
I will go to Fairfield for that.
all right, well, we'll get you. We got you out of Mount Pleasant to come to Washington, so we can probably get you to Fairfield, right?
Probably true.
So I want to do a quick little throwback. I wasn't on the show yesterday, and Mike, you weren't either. Alex, you were. I think they missed an opportunity, Alex.
You think they did?
Yeah, they were talking about movies, and you are a cinema major, right?
Yeah.
And they didn't even address that at all.
Wait, do you study the history of cinema too, and
Yeah, I didn't want to be like, I know my movies because I'm a cinema major. So I was like,
You're not an elitist cinema major.
I'll just stay back because I don't like normally good movies. Like I like the Lego movie is like top movie for me.
Oh well,
and
I can't go there with
movies like I like Adam Sandler movies. I would watch 10 out of 10 over any other critically acclaimed movie.
But well, Mike, you said you didn't have a chance to watch yesterday's show yet, but a lot of the movies it came from Stacker.com, I think. So it's somebody's subjective list, right, of the top 100 movies.
Sure.
But almost all of them were pre-1972, and most of them were like pre-1960. So I don't know, Citizen Kane and
the classics,
some of the classics, and just Seven Samurai or something. I don't even know what they are.
It's old movie bias.
Yeah, it is. And so out of the top 100, but we won't rehash this because it was just yesterday, but a lot of the movies that I know and love were either not on the list at all or were like way up the line, like Star Wars. The first Star Wars was like 55. But not everybody's a Star Wars fan. I get that.
And so much of that's determined by your generation and who watches when. Because my kids will tell me the last three were the best three.
Yeah,
I'm a prequels fan.
You're a prequel fan. That blows my mind.
I don't like the originals. I probably watched them like once or twice. The prequels.
Well, I've
watched a million times.
I actually think I have a little less respect for you now than I did before. I'm sorry.
I just didn't grow up. I just didn't grow up watching them.
Yeah.
Well, I will say Empire Strikes Back was better than the first one, I think. But
I think that's pretty much general knowledge at this point. Everybody thinks that.
Yeah.
I think you're absolutely right.
So anyway.
He got better as he went along, right?
Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah. So anyway, we won't dwell on that, but there was, I think they missed that opportunity, Alex.
What's your favorite movie though?
So my favorite movie, I'll give you like some. Like Shawshank Redemption was on that list. It was well up that list. I really like that. Star Wars was on it. Goodfellas was on the list, up in the 50s, 60s, whatever, and I like those. Probably my favorite two are really in the top five for sure. Young Guns.
Oh yes,
I love Young Guns. Billy the Kid, Emilio Estevez, I don't know what they called those guys, the Brat Pack or something like that. But and then Bull Durham. And I'm not a huge baseball fan, but Bull Durham is just an awesome movie. I
completely agree.
Now, is it going to win any awards? Did they win any Oscars? 0 Oscars.
But everyone remembers it.
But everybody remembers it.
Yeah, it's that kind of movie. I love that. That's awesome. I don't have favorites usually with kinds of movies, but I will tell you, if you haven't seen Oppenheimer, you can see it on TV now.
Yeah, it's on Peacock, I think, right?
It's worth watching. Yeah. It is a very well.
It's also very long, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, nice. but no, I do want to watch that. So anyway, we'll get off of yesterday.
Yeah, sorry.
But Alex, I think that you had an opportunity to show off your degree. Your parents would have been so proud.
Yeah.
Adam Sandler.
So, Mike, you said you had a little Mount Pleasant story you wanted to share today.
I do, because you had gone to this conference a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
What was it called?
The Iowa Newspaper Association.
Iowa Newspaper Association. So I was asking you about that the other day, and you told me that you are a 5th generation newsman.
Yep.
Or is that the term you use? I think something like that, right? Yeah. 5 generations. And so I'm like, how long ago was that? 5 generations? And that got me studying. Mount Pleasant's a big history town. Mm-hmm. We get really into history, like a lot. Right. We had Pat White on our show, who runs our Heritage Trust down there, and it's this big thing for us. And the Mount Pleasant News specifically has documented a lot of that history over the years in your archives. And one of the stories I was reading about is the very first newspaper in Mount Pleasant. Mm-hmm. And it was purchased from Fort Madison by a guy named Samuel Howe. A lot of people know the Howe name. It's pretty prevalent in Southeast Iowa. This guy was a pioneer, came across from New England with his wife and a couple kids, and a log cabin east of downtown. I mean, this is back when we were still a territory at Iowa, little village of Mount Pleasant, not really a town yet. Presley Saunders days, that kind of stuff, right, when we were founded. And he was a big educator, professor, and sort of an abolitionist, right? Mm-hmm. And he was anti-slavery. And during that time where republicanism was a big push and Abe Lincoln was becoming a thing, right, and James Harlan, that whole movement, that tension in our country around slavery and abolishing slavery. And he was a big proponent of it. He started a school, moved that school to downtown Mount Pleasant. It wasn't Iowa Wesleyan, but they worked with Iowa Wesleyan.
Well, Wesleyan was 1842.
Yeah, and they both started right around the same time.
Okay.
Right around the same time. And they worked together for a time, and then they split back up again. But he'd get his butt kicked. Like his wife was worried. Like literally. Like he'd go downtown where the commerce was, right, in the square, and he'd come home with bruises. Like he'd be beat up. And his kid, who wrote about it in the Mount Pleasant News later, told stories of his wife worried that he wouldn't come home one day, and they find him dead because he was so outspoken, anti-slavery during that time, and Republican values, all that kind of stuff during that time. And it didn't deter him at all. He actually said, I'll die for this. Yeah. Free men is what is freedom, right?
And I think that happened, I don't know a lot of stories that way, but I think that happened pretty frequently. I mean, newspapers, when they started, generally were started for a cause and a purpose.
Right.
They were not general news necessarily. They were promoting an agenda, generally.
For sure, and that happened. And you have a story in Centerville that with your family, right?
Yeah. Well,
how much you want to go into that?
Yeah, that's okay. Well, I'll do it real quick. My great grandfather bought the Centerville Daily Iowegian in 1903, and at some point, like in the 30s, maybe, I can't remember. But the Ku Klux Klan moved in to Centerville in Appanoose County, and they went to my grandfather and others and said, "Hey, you need to join with our cause," and he said no. He basically stayed neutral. He wasn't he wasn't for or against. He was trying to just be neutral, tried to keep the newspaper neutral. And the Klan decided that if you weren't with them, you were against them.
Right.
And so they started their own newspaper. The Ku Klux Klan started their own newspaper, started writing big editorials, front page editorials against my grandfather and other local people that were not for them. Let's not say against, but not for them.
Sure.
And I like to believe they were against, but they were at least not for, right?
Right.
And so anyway, they just ran him up and down tried to rake him over the coals, as you said. I don't know that there was ever anything actual physical like you're talking about,
sure.
But eventually he stayed his ground and they went out of business, and then he ended up buying all their equipment in auction first. So
he won that one. He won that one, right?
He won that one. So
that history is really cool.
Yeah.
The fact that newspapers have played such a prominent role in telling the facts and the truth and change and educating people.
And there's a whole soapbox that I could really run with right now. I'm not going to do it.
But one thing I will say, though, is while we have this great show in the morning, it's fun, it's connected with the Southeast Iowa Union.
It is.
And I still get the paper. Yep. And it's more important than ever on Tuesdays and Thursdays when it comes in, understanding the value of news and the importance of that paper, of learning what's going on in our community. And so I just want to say thanks. After reading that history, for you to carry that torch 5 generations later with your family, but since the 1840s in Mount Pleasant, thank you. Yeah. It's really important that we keep that moving forward. So thank you.
I appreciate that. And before I start crying right on air, just kidding, but it was very nice. Thank you. We will take a commercial.
Yeah.
Federation Bank is a locally owned bank providing award-winning customer service. We believe that we are more than just a federation of banks, but a federation of communities, serving Brighton, Richland, Wellman, and Washington, Iowa. Federation Bank's highly skilled staff is here to make sure you are able to accomplish your personal and professional goals, whatever they may be. Federation Bank, your family bank.
I am Melissa Westfall with Homegirl Realty. Heather and Charlotte and I have worked together for many years, and we have always had a vision to have a business together.
I'm Charlotte Howard, and the good news is we bring a very high level of experience. We have a combined 80 plus years of experience in this real estate marketplace.
I'm Heather Merrick, and Homegirl Realty brings a lot of things to the table. We have phenomenal communication with our clients, buyers and sellers, to make sure things are going smoothly and you don't have anything to worry about.
Washington County Hospital and Clinics, providing quality health care that puts you first. Whether during a hospital stay, seeing a primary care provider for wellness exams or sick visits, minor surgery to a total joint replacement, or recovering from an injury, we're here when you need us.
More than you expect for your health care. Washington County Hospital and Clinics.
Introducing Hy-Vee Market Grill, where every meal is a delight. Start your day with our mouthwatering breakfast options and savor flavorful lunches with friends and family. Cap off your day with our delectable dinners. Hy-Vee Market Grill, where every moment is delicious.
At 5 Star Community Credit Union, we want to help you lead a better life. We offer competitive rates and convenient appointment times for all kinds of loans: auto, recreational vehicles, home equity, line of credit, holiday, and personal loans. We make it easy to build your credit and enjoy the good things in life.
We invite you to join 5 Star Community Credit Union. We are community-minded and member-focused. Come visit our locations in West Burlington and Mount Pleasant or online at 5starcu.org. Federally insured through the NCUA, Equal Housing Lender.
Good morning, breathers. I'm going to make that stick one way or the other, even if you hate it. I'm sorry. If you do hate it, let me know, and I'll stop. Good morning, Southeast Iowa. We are here. It is Wednesday, February 21st. We are brought to you by KCTC.
Thank you, Casey.
Thank you, Casey. Mm-hmm. And we are caffeinated this morning and every morning by Hy-Vee Fast and Fresh, locations Washington, Fairfield, and Mount Pleasant. And we will be in Mount Pleasant next Wednesday. So, Mike came up with this list off the internet. All the good stuff comes right off the internet, right?
Of course.
So I got thinking, and I was listening to something, I don't know, the radio, because all the best ideas are stolen. So I stole this idea right from somebody else, and they were talking about dirty jobs and gross jobs.
Oh, yeah.
So I pulled this list of some dirty jobs and some gross jobs. Some of them could probably overlap. But at least give us a starting point to talk about, not only these jobs, but also maybe some jobs you've had that I've had that Alex has had in his young career.
You can't say this job though, Alex.
Yeah, not that. Yeah, I'm sitting right here.
Yet. We go on location, we'll have a conversation.
Yeah.
So anyway, do you want to go ahead and start tackling some of these?
Well, I'm looking at this list and I'm just like, my eyes are like, whoa, that's a thing? Like a worm dung farmer.
Do you know, I talked to somebody that does that in Winfield.
Yeah.
And so it's a thing.
Oh, this is like the composting worms.
I think so.
That makes perfect sense.
That's what I think it is. So
they make great fertilizer.
Yeah. So I think that's I don't want to say common, but I don't think that that's an unusual thing to happen.
If my wife's watching right now, we actually had a whole box of these under our kitchen sink for like 3 years, where we throw our scraps in, and then 2 or 3 months later, we dig through that and take that out to the garden. It'd be compost.
Why'd you get rid of it?
We moved, I think. I don't know. Yeah. But I'm sure now that she's seen this episode, I'm sure we'll start doing it again.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, though, another one on this, though, is Chick Sexer.
Yes.
Which when I looked at this, Matt, I'm like, what are you doing, buddy? Like, I know our show's a little edgy, but like, what are we doing here? But I realized what it was because we just got chickens. Which, by the way, you can order through the mail. That was new to me. So evidently they grow chickens somewhere. They hatch.
So many questions.
Yeah, and then I know, right? And then they hatch, and within a day, 24 hours, these people somewhere, I think in Minneapolis, St. Paul, they sex the chickens. They figure out what gender they are, and then they box up 10 hens into a box with some air holes and a little bit of food, which they're right out of the eggs, so they don't know what they're doing, and they ship them in the mail. And so we got a call like 2 weeks ago from the Postal Service at 6 a.m., mind you, when the delivery came, saying, hey,
you need to get down
knock
here.
on the back door. You better get here soon before these chickens die in their box.
No kidding.
Yeah, and we got them, and one had passed away, which happens evidently.
Right.
But we now have 9 chicks living in our basement until they're big enough to go out into the coop.
Oh, geez.
But yeah, I learned about chicken sexing.
Yeah, well, it seems like I've seen there's shows, whatever, on Discovery Channel or whatever, Learning Channel, whatever, but they like come by on a conveyor belt basically, and they just flip them over. It's like, all right, I don't know what I get I understand the concept of what you're looking for, but I don't know exactly what you're looking for when you flip them over that fast.
Right.
So
there's some other ones on here though. What do you think is like one of the grossest ones?
Well, so a bat cave scavenger, basically, this list comes from Dirty Jobs, like the Mike Rowe TV show. These are some of the episodes that he did.
Oh, sure.
So that's where, so I think I remember seeing this one, but somebody, they harvest, I guess, for lack of a better term, bat guano from caves.
Yeah.
There's a market for that. A septic tank technician, and that kind of goes. There's a gross job with the porta potty cleaner.
Oh, sure. Oh, can you imagine festivals?
No,
that's like
at all. It's got to be done. God bless them.
Yes.
Glad it's not me.
Yeah.
I don't know. Disaster cleanup depends on what it is. If you get into it, something that's been flooded, and that's just full of mold. And
let me go farther than that.
Do it.
I used to work for UNICEF, and they do disaster recovery. And UNICEF's primary role after like an earthquake or a big hurricane that hits a developing country is what's called WASH, which is water and sanitation and hygiene. Right. It's toilets.
Oh, geez.
Because and I'm being gross for a moment, when we don't have toilets, people use the ground, right? Yeah. Like that's all you
gotta go whether the toilet's there or not, right?
And when that happens, then flies happen, and they get into the market, and they get into food, and then suddenly kids get diarrhea and they die, right? So it's our sanitation, our sewer systems are probably the biggest lifesavers that no one thinks about.
Yeah,
and it's changed the world. But I will, anytime I meet anyone who works in sanitation, especially like in Mount Pleasant or Washington or Fairfield, like they are my favorite people.
Oh yeah.
The stuff they do, the stuff they have to put up with. How weird can we get on this show? That's my question.
Pretty weird.
So I was in Denver once, and we did a tour of, we were with a Boy Scout group, and we were doing a tour of their sanitation departments.
Hold on. You started this by saying how weird can we get, and then you introduced a Boy Scout troop.
Boy Scout, I know. Sorry. Hey, I'm an Eagle Scout. just saying. But we go and tour this sanitation department, and the stuff that people flush down their toilets that they have to clean out in the sanitation department. Yep. I'm not going to tell you what all was in there.
No, I had a buddy that worked not in Denver, which would be a whole different level, but worked in Centerville actually. It worked, I think, a summer at the sanitation department. And same thing. He said the stuff that comes through there is just you wouldn't have it.
You're going to know, like there's going to be like tampons, things like that. There's condoms that come through, like all. I mean, it's really nasty. The kind of stuff that people flush down they're not supposed to flush down their toilet. Sorry, I got to bring it up on this. Talk about gross job, dirty jobs.
That's like a gross job. It's a gross job, but thank God somebody's doing it.
There are heroes, and they literally are saving lives. People don't look at it like that, but they literally save lives.
Exactly.
Sanitation does.
Exactly. So one of these on this is meat process worker at a packing house.
Yeah.
So I did that actually.
Yeah.
My first job out of college was at Hormel, and then I went to in Fremont, Nebraska, and then I went to IBP in Waterloo.
Nice.
At slaughterhouse. IBP did 18,000 hogs a day.
Ooh.
And so they're running through there pretty fast.
Yeah.
And it's just an assembly line. So IBP just processed the hogs, cut it into its pieces, and then shipped it out in boxes. Hormel actually did finished products, so they made hot dogs and they made hams and they made sausage and they did all this stuff.
Sure.
Spam, I saw spam.
Yeah, I love spam. Gotta love spam.
I still like spam. I'll still eat hot dogs too.
Austin, Minnesota. Have you ever been to the spam headquarters?
I have.
Nice.
Yeah, this was in Fremont. We made spam there too, but
nice.
But yeah, so it is. Have you ever heard of Souse Loaf? I think it's SOUSE.
Sounds familiar. Is that a type of spam?
I have no clue. Souse Loaf?
Souse Loaf. It is not. It is made from
SOU.
I think it's SOUSE. I think. It sounds like Mickey Mouse. MOUSE.
MOU.
It's not the same thing.
You trying to pull it up too?
Yeah,
I was trying to.
So I think that's right.
It disappeared. I don't know where it went. Just a second.
Okay. So he's trying to pull it. But anyway, apparently it's big in the South.
Okay.
Not around here. I'd never heard of it. But it literally has snout in it. And not only does it have pig snout in it, you can see the pig snout.
Wow.
It is still intact enough that you can see what this looks like. So did you have it up?
Okay.
Kind of.
Just a second.
People eat that.
Well, apparently they sell it. We made it and they sent it south.
Oh my gosh, look at that.
Yeah, so
that's interesting.
Yeah, so you can still make out the snout. So what's it?
Pickled Caribbean pork. Yeah, I'm not eating that.
Yeah, well, yeah, there you go. That's how it looks. It's in a loaf.
Oh, okay, that one. Okay, that's a little better looking.
Yeah.
I don't mind a good meatloaf. After all, I'm Iowan. Like it's like a staple of our diets.
I love a meatloaf. My meatloaf typically doesn't have pig snout.
You don't want the pig snout in it?
No, not generally. And then I had another job that was just, I don't know what it was. It would not pass OSHA regulations now, but I worked for the county road crew and used to build bridges. And so in order to build bridges, you had to put piling in the ground.
Yep.
And you drove the piling in the ground by dropping a huge heavy weight on top of the piling and literally drive it into the ground. Well, we had to climb this guide to get it up there. There's a guide and you had to unhook the weights and do all this stuff, which whatever. But those poles are soaked in creosote. And so I used to have to hang from this guide while they got this thing started, and they pounded it down, which would never pass any safety inspection ever. I think we're outside, what do you call that? I forget. Statute of limitations at this point.
Yeah. Yep.
So I don't think, but the creosote would shoot out of there. Well, the creosote, souse, there you go.
Yeah, souse. Nice.
The creosote would burn your skin. So I was constantly rubbing aloe all over myself.
Oh my gosh.
Because, it was bad.
Oh my
That's when I was in
gosh.
college and stupid and before I had kids and got old and fat but I wouldn't do it now. So we're gonna end on that.
That's that's not way. Well, one more thing that one of the stories that I learned, and it became a big national news thing, is there was a cheese manufacturer in southern Missouri, and they discontinued this type of cheese or something, and they had warehouses full of it, and they just buried it in the ground. And years later, this land gets purchased for development, and these construction workers go in, and we're talking like Velveeta type cheese. We're not talking like hardened rocks of cheese. We are talking gooey yumminess, but been sitting in the ground for 30 years.
Right.
And then these construction workers have to go in with their machinery, not realizing that there's cheese there.
Right.
And then eventually having to get rid of it. And can you imagine being in a construction crew hauling, I mean, we're talking fields of cheese underground that they're trying to get rid of. Melted, gooey, cheese. Just horrible.
Probably still good.
It might be. It's Velveeta.
It's aged.
It's
the Twinkies of cheese, right?
Good.
Yeah, you just repackage it, call it aged, and you got it.
Oh my gosh, that's brilliant. Yeah. I love it.
All right, we're gonna take a break.
At the Capper Auto Group, we put our customers' needs first and understand that everyone is as different as the vehicle they select. We offer new Ford, Chevrolet, Buick, GMC, Jeep, Chrysler, Dodge, and Ram vehicles in a friendly environment that puts you in the driver's seat. When it comes to service, we maintain factory-trained technicians and competitive pricing. The Capper Auto Group still believes that service after the sale provides the best customer experience. Come see the Capper experience for yourself.
Step back in time and create unforgettable memories of the 2024 Midwest Little Threshers Reunion. Gather the family and immerse yourselves in the nostalgic charm of steam engines, antique cars and trucks, tractors, gas engines, and the horses. Whether it's the savory delights from the North Village, to the log cabin, or the unforgettable concerts, this is where memories are crafted. Plan now to bask in the history of the past from August 29th to September 2nd in Mount Pleasant. Visit oldthreshers.com for details. Don't miss this chance to make timeless memories.
Attention Hy-Vee shoppers, introducing Hy-Vee Perks, your ticket to exclusive savings and rewards. Access exclusive perks, prices, earn gas discounts, and unlock special deals. All this for free. Join Hy-Vee Perks today and start saving.
In the heart of rural Iowa, where community matters most, the connections we make are made to last. Meet KCTC, your hometown internet, phone, and TV provider. At KCTC, we're not just about technology, we're about people. Our dedicated team are your neighbors, committed to bringing you top-tier services right where you live. We believe in giving back to the community that raised us. Experience the power of a real connection with KCTC. Join us in building a stronger, more connected Southeast Iowa.
Good morning and welcome back. And we're still going to stick with Morning Breathers. See how that goes.
Tim's going to come back.
Tim's going to
like,
I know Tim
heck,
is the nickname guy. We need to come up with a nickname for Tim.
Oh, I like that.
So I don't know what we're going to do there.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, so it is 7:42 a.m. and let's get you set for the day. The temperature right now in Fairfield, Mount Pleasant, and Washington across the board is 42, according to my Apple weather. Mike and I were just talking, depends on where you look, it might be a little different, but right now it looks like 42. The high today is 66, so you can put on your shorts and short sleeve shirts. A low of 43, which is happening about right now, give or take. Looking ahead just a little bit on Monday, 68, and on Tuesday, 74 for a high.
Nice.
So we'll take that in February, right?
Farmers always taught me the value of a good vest.
Yeah, exactly.
You can take the vest off, you can put it back on.
Because
this kind of weather,
because your torso might be cold, but your arms are just fine.
Exactly.
So,
and you need that flexibility.
Right. Exactly.
Throw your vest on. It's that kind of weather. It's vest weather.
My mother, who's in Tampa today, a high of 71 and a low of 43. So their low is just about where we are. Tampa.
Does your mom watch the show?
She does. She's
awesome.
one of our biggest
What's
fans.
her name?
Martha.
Hi, Martha.
Yep, Martha in Tampa.
Nice.
She does. She doesn't watch live, however. She informed me of that she watches later in the day.
Fair enough.
Things to do. I started out with this things to do today, and I've quickly learned that there's not always something to do today, and no matter where you are. So that's not picking out any one particular town, but things to do coming up. In Fairfield, Jefferson County Hospitals is hosting a heart health and home cooking demo tomorrow. It is free, but you must make a reservation by calling 641-469-4275. I think they said space might be limited, so you might have to check on that.
Sure.
Mount Pleasant, kind of the same deal. Henry County Health Center Foundation is having their MAD, which is Make a Difference, I think.
I think so. Is that this Friday night?
It is this Friday.
Nice.
It's,
That's a fun one.
MAD for Bingo Night, Friday at the VFW Hall in Mount Pleasant. Actually, I looked, and it looked like the reservations were actually due last week.
Yeah, they're a little more organized than a lot of other organizations. They like getting their reservations ahead of time.
So they may be full, and if they are, I apologize, but still want to prop them up a little bit. You can call 319-385-6541 to find out about that. And in Washington, there is a quilt crawl. It's Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. It's UP Church, Art Domestique, and the Washington Library all have something to do with that. You can get your ticket punched, and you get a chance to win a free quilt. You can call 319-653-2726 to get a little information about that.
Go around from place to place and view quilts?
I would assume.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know all the details, but that's what I assume it would be.
Okay.
And you have to go and get your ticket punched, kind of, a pub crawl, but more of a quilt crawl, because why wouldn't you do a quilt crawl?
Exactly. Why not? Why not? I love it.
And I'm certain it's a fundraiser for something. Last week we gave some love to the wrestling state, so I better give some love to basketball. In the Southeast Iowa Union coverage area, we cover 14 different schools, so 28 teams total between boys and girls for basketball, and every single one of them, except for Winfield Mount Union, has been eliminated.
And that was a nail biter even last night, right? Was it Burlington Notre Dame they were playing?
Was, I believe so, and they had to do a comeback to get there, and they did win.
Good job, Winfield. They talk about a small town with a massive history of basketball tradition.
Absolutely.
The Jess Settles, oh my gosh, that's incredible. Great town.
Yep. So anyway, and then there's also 3 Mount Pleasant bowlers, girls bowlers that bowled yesterday. I don't think they got out of the preliminary rounds, but they were at the state tournament.
Nice.
And there was a Washington boy that maybe goes today. I'm not sure how that works. Sorry, going fast here. This day in history, Malcolm X was assassinated in 1965, and NASCAR was founded in 1948.
Okay.
So there you go. Didn't know either one of those things.
1948.
Yeah, that came out of the moonshining thing. I didn't know it was that long ago either. But.
Yeah. Seeing some of these dates, you're like, oh, it's 2024. That's a long time ago. Yeah.
And our word of the day is lampoon. And I know you have it set in front of you, but lampoon. To lampoon someone or something is to ridicule that person or thing, especially through their use of harsh satire.
I should have came prepared.
The National Lampoon.
Yep.
Oh, there you go.
Lampoon.
I do this about Washington a little bit too often. I want to apologize to our Washington viewers. I tend to lampoon you, and it was solely because that's how I was raised to do as a Southeast Iowa boy.
Tim threw a dart at Mount Pleasant.
Oh, did he?
Day, so.
Good. Is he lampooning us as well?
Yeah, he was. So it's all in fun. Hopefully,
we love you,
takes
Washington.
It that way. So we're a couple minutes past, but I do want to bring up real quick. We did the Washington Live Facebook page. We did change the name of that yesterday. So you shouldn't have lost anything if you're on the Washington Live Facebook page. It should still be all the same stuff. It still should be in your feed, but it is now called Southeast. So it's SEIA Live. So Southeast Iowa Live. Southeast Iowa Video Network.
Oh, cool.
And we're trying to consolidate some of these things. So we do have a Mount Pleasant Live and a Fairfield Live, and at some point we're going to kind of roll them all into one, into Southeast Iowa. The Mount Pleasant Live, Washington Live, and Fairfield Live names will be alive because the community profile shows that you host, and there's one dropping tomorrow.
Just had a great interview with Lisa Etkin with Main Street Mount Pleasant.
And that'll drop tomorrow, and so that is still called Mount Pleasant Live. The name of that show will be Mount Pleasant Live.
And watch a little bit of that. She talks. It's one of our first conversations around what's going to happen with RAGBRAI in Mount Pleasant. We don't get into too much detail, but it's going to be an exciting summer. Let's put it that way.
And we have a Washington Live that'll drop tomorrow too. I don't remember who the guest is on that.
Art Domestique.
Nice.
So actually, there you go. So
hey, go check out some quilts.
Part of this quilt show.
Yeah.
So anyway, Tim does so good about getting us out here on time, and I did not. So I apologize. It is 7:48, and we will